So today I am sitting with Mark Probert. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Kirsty. How's you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. All good.
Good. So Mark started his career in finance and now he has a portfolio of businesses that he consults, predominantly in the creative sector. But in saying that, I Multiply was lucky enough to steal you away, weren't we, for a few days a month?
Badgered.
Well, thanks for joining me today just to answer my five killer questions. I'm looking forward to hearing about your experiences and sharing some of your perspectives with others. So why don't you kick off by telling us how this crisis is affecting you?
Hang on, I'll just get my hip flask. How this crisis is affecting me? I suppose, first of all, personally, I think, because that's often the thing people don't talk about. I've got two children, 11 and 8. A wife that's was full-time work has been partly reduced given the sort of job retention scheme. And I've got a very busy portfolio of clients work-wise. So I suppose personally, it's been quite hard, like many parents, homeschooling. Although I'm quite fortunate. I think we're fortunate. Our kids are slightly older, so they can kind of cope by themselves for a chunk of the day. Outside of kind of the home life, yeah, it's very tough for everybody. Is it not seeing anybody? I'm probably like yourself, Kirsty. We were talking about this a while ago. Quite a people person. I love interacting with people. I love bouncing ideas off of people, just generally socialising. Obviously, none of us can do that really at the moment. It's not quite the same on a screen, so that can be quite hard. But I think we're fortunate. We've got quite a strong family unit, both from the in-laws side and my parents' side. We're all quite strong characters. I don't think this has been, although it's been 8 weeks now, I don't think it's been too tough for us personally in some ways. And then on the work side, sorry, just also on the personal side, I suppose I live 350 miles away from my family, so it's not like I would see them that often anyway. So we're used to this kind of scenario, chatting over a screen. On the work side, as you alluded to, I've got about 13 clients retained, month to month. And some of those are in Scotland, Edinburgh, Glasgow. A number of them are down south. I'm finding it quite hard personally not seeing some of them, yourself included. Because I kind of have a mantra that I want to work with people that I know it's going to be really hard work, but I want to enjoy as well. And so actually the people I work with are quite entrepreneurial, and it's great seeing them and interacting with them and hearing their business ideas and telling them to stop some of them and carry on with the one they've got. And that aspect of it, not seeing people that I'd class as friends really, a number of them, is also quite hard. Notwithstanding then, I suppose the work side it's been, like most finance people, it's been a pretty hectic last 7 or 8 weeks. Getting your head around some of the government schemes, trying to tell people not to do things too quickly because the details aren't out yet. A lot of business owners have found that quite tough, not to be able to quite often, you'll know as well, quite often want to make decisions quickly, move on, do the next thing, move on. And sometimes I think personally people are trying to do things too quickly, make decisions quite quickly without having all the details. And I know some businesses I work with have made decisions that ultimately were wrong, really. They shouldn't have made them, in terms of maybe telling certain people in the team this is going to happen to them when actually legally perhaps they shouldn't have, but they weren't really waiting for the finer details to come out. So it's been interesting 7 or 8 weeks work-wise, definitely, yeah.
I bet. And if you had to pick one thing from a work perspective that's keeping you awake at the moment, what would you say it is?
Keeping me awake? I think the thing that's keeping me awake, and it has been keeping me awake, it's probably why I've got the dark eyes still, is actually, I personally find a lot of enjoyment in what I do and what I now do from professing to help people, and that kind of ticks my boat. That's kind of what motivates me. If I can help anybody in any small way, I'll try damn hard to do it. And actually the last 7 or 8 weeks, what's been keeping me awake is thinking about all these ideas and looking into these government schemes and so on, that I can try and help in any small way clients that aren't really all the time financially minded and actually do really need the help. So the keeping me awake bit has been almost the I suppose a weird word to say, maybe the excitement of almost of trying to unravel the puzzles that are going on at the moment, and how can I articulate that to people that don't really understand finance speak often. I feel like my probably purpose has come through. Actually, somebody said that to me the other day. Do you feel that you now got a purpose? I said, "What did I not have before then?" but I know what they meant, and I think they're probably right. Actually, yeah.
Nice. And what do you think's been your biggest learn since this COVID-19 outbreak?
My biggest learn. Well, that's quite an interesting one, actually. TikTok, probably.
Right. I want to see your TikTok videos. I'm not
There's
seeing.
there's no TikTok videos from here, and never will be in the public domain. Probably my biggest learn has been all the apps that my daughters probably aren't allowed on, that they're going on, and how we hack around getting onto them in a way that then there can't be any digital sort of issues coming back to haunt us or them at some point. That's been quite a learning. But I think probably maybe it's not learning, but maybe it's just reinforcing the approach I've often had is, as I said, alluded to there, people reacting too quickly to things. I think we all at the beginning of this, I hate to bang on about the virus, but at the beginning of the virus bit, I think we were all hit by a train, weren't we, initially, in that first week. The Black Monday, I think me and my colleagues called it. We were sat up on the west coast of Scotland, actually, on our sort of strategy get-together. And we went there for 3 days. On the first day, we didn't actually do anything. We'll say we did, but we didn't. We were kind of all just a bit shell-shocked. And I think after that, there were a number of clients that were the same, and then started to try to make rapid decisions. Right, we're going to stop there. We're not going to do this. And actually, the ones that didn't, the ones that took their time and planned and came up with a robust plan, and are now carrying that out and taking their time, are probably the ones that are in a much stronger position. And I mean that with, so for example, a number of marketing agencies I work with, some of them immediately furloughed their marketing person, their own in-house marketing person, which in itself, often an agency can find it quite difficult understanding that they need a marketing person to do their own marketing. It's like the cobbler's shoes scenario. But that was the first thing they did. And actually now they're then regretting that because they need somebody to do their content or their digital marketing, whatever. That's I think, so my learning really has reinforced a bit, where I'd say take your time to properly think about the big decisions you're making from a business point of view.
Yeah. That's a good learn. So if I asked you to look into a crystal ball, what do you think will be different in the business world once we've come through this?
Okay. What would be different? Everyone bangs on about offices at the moment. That seems to be the common discussion. The call I was on this morning was the same thing. We'll be going back to an office. I think that's the obvious one. I think there'll be a lot more remote working. In my opinion, I think there might be a lot more companies where there aren't employees, and the government might have to look at a slightly different way of taxing people around that. Because at the moment, there's a lot of companies with the gig economy started to become quite a thing, hasn't it, in the last couple of years? This is only going to drive more of that. And I think that in itself might lead to, there are less big offices, big, companies in offices, a lot more co-working spaces. But then, do you really need the co-working spaces if people are working at home? I mean, it's a huge debate, this, isn't it, the working environment. But I think there might be a different way of the fine line, the badges of trade stuff between whether you're employed or not employed. I think that might become a bit grey. And actually need a bit more sort of government intervention, because there's going to be different ways of working. People aren't going to be going into an office. People aren't going to be wanting to do 5 days a week. They're used to now already working from home. They're having to flex because, for quite a long time, the schools aren't going to be back properly. But that's going to probably make people realise that actually they don't want the commute anymore. They don't want, we're quite fortunate. I work down south, as I alluded to, but Kirsty, my wife Kirsty, and I are both quite fortunate in some ways that we work in and around Edinburgh. We don't really have a commute. Thousands of people have, 2-hourly commutes, don't they? Which, there's just no value in that, really. There's a bit of headspace, but there's no real value in that anymore. I think that will change quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. And to end on, and you've shared a few bits there already about your learns, but what piece of wisdom or words of positivity would you like to leave all these viewers that are watching this video with?
Or my mum.
Yeah. Your biggest fans.
That's not my mum. Definitely not the biggest fan. What words of wisdom?
Yeah, or positivity. For other finance leaders, probably.
So other finance leaders?
Yeah, I think that's who will probably be watching this.
Okay, so in terms of, I suppose, what I would say, I think finance is often an undervalued asset in the company. So, and what I mean by that is, if I put my marketing hat on at the moment, my creative agencies that I work with in the main, often you try to encourage them at a certain size to get a finance resource in-house. They might have a bookkeeper, but you go, well, at a certain stage, 10, 11, 12 people, whatever, you probably should have an in-house resource to some extent. I always get challenged on that more often than not. And for a long time, in most client relationships, I think people undervalue the finance bit, the finance expertise. Why do I need that? Why am I paying for that? Why can't I'll do that. I'll do the invoice and I'll do this. And I think this crisis, if you want to call it that, it reinforced how valuable it is, how valuable the finance resource is. And actually, even the things like, we obviously know the guys down the road from us that are running the cash flow and so on, that, there's so many finance things that you need to be spot on about, and you need to get your handle on, the finger on the pulse and so on, that business owners often, in my experience, think they've got a clear view on, but some have, but more often than not, they haven't really. It's just that, how's the cash at the moment? They look at their phone. There's no planning, there's no thought. And actually, this bit has probably reinforced how valuable having somebody supporting you on your back almost is. And I think actually going forward, I think there's a lot more opportunity for finance people to do the bit that I love, the multi bit, where I work across different clients. Because that's going to change. The world is going to change, isn't it? That people will see the value in finance, but they'll think, well, I could have a 2-day a week here, and actually, I'll get a much better person, a better quality person 2 days a week. And that multiple portfolio is something that I think, if you're that way inclined, is quite an exciting challenge for finance people to be in. It's quite an interesting thing to do, multiple clients, not just one.
Yeah,
it keeps you on your toes.
Do you know, that's such a valid point, which I'm going to persuade you nicely, hopefully, to do another one of these, and the topic will be around how you build a portfolio, because I speak to a lot of finance leaders who are maybe in a permanent full-time role, but they're at the point where they want to create, a portfolio of clients, but actually it's making that leap, and it's about how to do that. So perhaps that's a topic for another day.
No, that's fine to do that at some point.
Done that very successfully.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Well, thanks very much, Mark.
No, thanks. It wasn't too bad. Only 5 questions. Thank you. Exactly.
Well, you did well. Didn't give you the heads up, so appreciate it, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Take care, Kirsty. See you soon, hopefully. Cheers.